Hi, everybody. Welcome to this virtual village of women gathered here from all over the world to share their stories of birth as a means to empower each other through storytelling. I'm Bibi Lorenzetti, and I'm here with Aline Fernandes today, who is in Brazil. She is a yoga teacher, a model, and a yoga clothing designer, aside from a super mama. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Aline. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Such a pleasure, Bibi. I'm super excited and super happy to be here with you after so many years.
Yes.
At least we're meeting virtually.
I know. It's so wonderful. I love how
Yeah,
motherhood does that of bringing like people together.
Totally. And thanks for this beautiful project. I think it's more than ever in such a need. We need to connect and get stronger together. Exchange ideas and information and inspirations as well. So
and not feel alone in the process, because I feel like in some way or form we all go through the same different variations but the same kind of things, through the course of pregnancy, birth, early motherhood. There's just so many shifts and changes of identity. I'm looking forward to hear yours. So tell me a little bit. So we met in New York, but you're currently in Brazil. So can you tell me a little bit about where you're from, and then, where you were when you got pregnant, where you had your baby? Let's kind of start there. You yourself. I want to hear about you.
So I was born in the south of Brazil. I'm originally from the south. I left Brazil when I was about 17, 18 years old. Then I lived some time in Europe, then in New York City for 16 years, a long time.
Oh, wow, 16, okay.
Yeah. That's where I discovered Ashtanga Yoga, my love after Noah. Then for a long time I studied with Eddie, Batavi Joyce, and How I Met You, and all the Ashtanga crew. So 3 years ago I moved back to Brazil. Then I moved back actually to São Paulo, and I was with Pedro, my ex-partner. We're not together anymore, so I moved to Brazil with him.
Okay.
And then at the time, I was in the phase of my life that I felt if a baby came, I felt the right time, right? I felt like ripe and I felt ready, but I wasn't really planning, and I didn't actually know it wasn't planned. But I feel like internally it was planned because I was ready, and I think when just things come together, right? So I moved to Brazil, and about a year and a half later, actually I was doing like a few exams, like a checkup exam. I don't know if exam is the word in English.
Yeah, like a gynecologist.
Yeah, because I was my weight dropped a little, maybe because of the change of the country, all this new life, and I couldn't get back my weight back. And even though, for me 2 kilos is big because I'm always having skinny, but I don't like to be super skinny, so 2 kilos like wow. And then I started to check what's going on, and then I found out I had, and I still have, endometriosis.
Oh,
you know endometriosis?
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah, but I had no pain at all.
That's
because what I heard is women who have a low amount of fat in the body have less pain. So I never felt anything. I have no idea.
Very lucky.
Yeah, my mom has, and my sister has. So probably it's kind of like genetic.
Yeah.
So then also I found out that I had a cyst in the trompe. I don't know how to say.
In the uterus, the tunnel. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, oof. And I met 2 doctors, and they both said, oh, your age, I was 37, your age, the way is inflamed because it's a kind of inflammation. Or you do an operation and clean it up, which can maybe damage the trompa.
Yeah.
Or you collect your eggs and save, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, it's like, I wasn't expecting this at all. And
that must have been hard.
Very, I have seen women, even my mom and my sister, going through this, but when it's yourself, it's like it really touches your feminine. It gets your feminine power. It gets a way of feminine power. I was like very impacted about this news, and then we're about to go to Costa Rica for vacation, and I said, I'm just gonna go. When I come back, I'm gonna decide what to do, or you do a treatment, or do an operation. And then, so I got the news in May. 1 month later, naturally I got pregnant. So my message here is, it's when it's meant to be, and I feel like when energetically you're ready. It does not matter what, if you have a cyst, or if you don't have a cyst, or if you have endometriosis, or I feel like a child is beyond all these, physical, maybe blockages. It's like when it's meant to be, when everything's together, it transcends. So I got pregnant. It was not planned. For me, it was. I wanted, of course, and I wanted that phase of my life, but it really got me like, oh my God, now I had, I just moved to Brazil, I have retreat planned, I had, what to do. Then I just rode the wave. I'm super emotional, so I decided to practice through the first trimester, even though it's not very suggested according to the Ashtanga Yoga lineage. But for me, it was like a way to digest and a way to get into this new phase. And I did a very soft, extremely soft and gentle practice. And I was very confident that would not damage the baby, or would not, I was super comfortable. And so I did practice the first trimester, and then everything went fine. I mean, for me, the practice was, because I'm very dynamic, and I taught my whole pregnancy till the end, and also practiced it till the end. And the time I was not teaching, I was always doing something, because that's the way I am. And so for me, the practice, it was also a time to really connect to my baby, connect to myself and connect with him. So it went fine. I mean,
And how was it for you to experience your body changing as you were moving? Because I remember clearly, I remember clearly being like, there were some moments of frustration, some moments of like, being in complete awe of my body just changing. Like I felt like every day you wake up and you're different, and all of a sudden you go on the mat and it feels completely different.
Look, personally, as a woman, I felt like strong, powerful, sexy. I felt like vibrant. I felt like the best, in terms of like energy. I remember the first 3 months, like dead, super tired. I felt like a truck went over me. And then I felt like my energy rising, getting better. And by the 6 months, I felt like super strong. I was doing intermediate, a little bit of third, like super good. So the 6th month, and then the 7th, fine. The 8th month, a little slower, and the 9th, very slow. So I I felt fine, to be honest. I didn't,
great.
in terms of my body changing, I loved it. I felt
That's
like
great.
super powerful. I did not,
That's
it did not, yeah. And I got a lot of weight actually. Again, you're familiar with kilos, right?
Yes.
Because you're from Italy,
Yes.
no?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I got
Can you hear
frozen a
me?
little. Bibi?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can still hear you.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I got
Okay.
frozen.
So I got about, okay, now I got it froze a little.
We had a hurricane
I got,
here yesterday, so that's why the internet is a little bit crackly.
oh, okay. I got about 15 kilos, which is a lot. It's almost
15
like
or
double.
50?
15
Oh, 15.
kilos.
Okay. Yeah.
They say you should, ideally you should gain like 9 or 10. I got 15. Yeah, and the funny thing, when Noah was born, on the first day, I lost 10.
Wow.
So as you can see how much water is swollen our body can be. But you know, and internally I felt fine. I was super happy. In terms of like the practice, I took very gently, and every day was different. Every day I did not follow like one rule. I felt I practiced what I wanted. So some days more towards the end, maybe I was just doing Surya Namaskar A and B with variation, maybe meditating every day, but I was just doing what I felt right and what made me feel happy. If I felt in that particular day I didn't want to practice, I just meditated. So yeah, it was smooth. It was not. I was super happy.
That's great. And so how did you how did you envision yourself birthing? Did you have specific wishes or
yeah,
what was
I wanted at the time because I was so new in Brazil and I had no idea how was this whole birthing at home, if it was safe in Brazil, if you had good midwives, if you had good doulas. I had no idea, right? And I wanted to have Noah at home. It was clear.
Okay.
And then because I am American citizen as well, I had my green card at the time. We contemplated the idea of maybe having Los Angeles. So went to LA, I met a few doulas from Kundalini Lineage, which they are wonderful. And they gave me like a beautiful, you know, talk and inspiration. They're like the best doulas. I don't know if you met them, but they're like super inspiring. But at the same time, didn't felt right to be in LA, away from my family, away from his family, and then the whole logistic, like when go back to Brazil, and we decided to not go through the idea. And then I started like researching and talking to a few friends, and I found a major, like a huge community of, you know, doulas, midwives, like amazing here in São Paulo. And then at the time, actually I had a male doctor, and by the 7th month of pregnancy, I was like, no, you know, I want to have a woman. I wanna, the person's gonna be there with me. She need to have lived that. So I said, no, I'm gonna change it. So I changed my doctor, my obstetrician, you say, right?
Yeah.
And I found an amazing woman, Bettina Cruz. She had a terrible pregnancy when she was 18. And then when she had her baby, she decided to be a doctor. So she's like super good. And, but I did like a plan, like a maternity plan at the hospital here in São Paulo, just like a second option in case it not went well. At the time, we were not living together. I had my home, Pedro had his home. And my plan was to have Noah at home, okay, or my home or his home, one of the homes. And I remember, like, when I was doing this maternity plan, that you have to visit the hospital and see. And I went to the hospital and I was like, oh my, crying, like, I don't wanna have him here. Like, it just doesn't feel good. It just like feels like I'm not sick, like. So for me internally was so clear that I wanted to have him at home. But I also, after having Noah at home, my sense is when a woman has the desire, or a mother has the desire, I feel like it's or 50% the mother and 50% the child, or 70% the mother and 30% the child. You need both to have that energy to bring together, like working together. Because sometimes I have friends who had that vision, who had that dream, but the baby was super soft and kind of like more like in that comfort zone and didn't want to come out, and ended up not happening. So
I like how you describe it. The baby was soft.
Yeah, so it's the relationship, it feels like both needed to want the same thing.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
When I was about 37 weeks, it was super hot. It was February, in the middle of the summer here. And I love the ocean.
Like February, super hot, right?
Yeah, it was super hot. And I love the ocean. And I said, Pedro, I need to get in the water. I need to feel the salt. It's my last wish. And he's super adventurous. And he's like, okay, I was turning the week on Saturday. And he's like, okay, fine. If you want to go, we go. Ask the doctor. If she said yes, we go. And I asked Bettina, and she's like, she's a surfer. So she's like, yeah, of course, go. And maybe even go earlier because you can enjoy, just stay there. And she said, I'm going to be at the beach swimming in like a competition. So if you need me, just call me. So we went. And it was the Saturday I turned 38 weeks. Okay. And I remember it was a beautiful day, like no winds, blue sky. The ocean was like flat. And it's a long beach. It's called Baleia Whale Beach on the coast of São Paulo. And I said, I'm going to walk. And I just walked the beach point to point with my belly here. And the women passing through me like, oh, almost there. And I was like, yeah, almost there. And then, you're in the ocean, you're like in and out, and you have a wet swimsuit and change, and wet and dry. And one of these changing swimsuits, I saw the tampon. I don't know how you say
your plug.
Yeah, my plug out.
You're
and I was like,
oh.
What is this? It's like a jellyfish. So I Google it. And okay, here it is, ta-da! And I said, Pedro, my tampon, my how you say?
The plug, yeah.
And he was like, I was like, no, just relax. Let's just stay in the beach. If it starts, then we go. Okay, and my plan with him was like, or we drive, or sometimes you can get like a helicopter back to the city, okay? Or we take a helicopter, fine. So then nothing happened. And then by 10 o'clock at night, I start feeling that weight, and I start feeling the opening. And we are at his mom's house, it's a little more conservative, you have the all the how you say what she's my how you say in English? She's my
smile?
No, the mother of my
mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law. You have my mother-in-law there, so And then I started putting like a hot bag because I started feeling the weight and I started going to the bathroom, you know, my intestines started to soften. And he was like this, and I was like, no, it's okay, just stay. And it was actually almost full moon. And he's like, wake me up if you need me. By the time I told Bettina, the doctor, and she's like, okay, let me know how it goes. I told the doula, she's like, let me know how it goes. And he's like, try to rest, and if it gets really quickly your contractions, we go back. And then, of course, I did not sleep one drop of no sleep. I was the whole night just like walking the house, seeing the moon, walking.
Oh, wow, that's so beautiful.
Oh my God. And then I was, you know, we always think about everyone, at least I am like that.
Yeah.
And I said, okay.
It's incredible.
I'm gonna wait until 6 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, I'm gonna wake him up because I cannot handle anymore.
That's very kind of you to wait until 6 a.m. to wake him up.
So at 6 o'clock, I was like, okay, done. I woke him up and I said, okay, it's happening. It's happening. So Bettina came, my doctor, she was there swimming nearby in the competition. And she put the finger.
You were still at your mother-in-law's house, or you were in your house?
My mother-in-law's house. I was not in my house. I was at the beach.
So
the doctor came, Bettina doctor, she came and she did the finger thing, you know, to feel.
See how
and she's like, but we still have some time, but it's happening. And she's like, do you have, you know, the inside of the toilet paper, the paper, the roll?
Oh, the tube?
Toilet paper roll, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do you have one of that? I'm like, yeah. And she put to listen the baby. And she's like, okay, everything, because she had nothing. She had no tools there. And she's like, oh my God, this is so beautiful here. You guys don't have the baby here? And I was like, oh, I remember like on the bed, like, oh, and I was like, oh, there's no hospitals here in case happens something. No, let's just go back to São Paulo. So we went to São Paulo by helicopter. I was like in the contractions. We went to my house. It was like not planned and not beautiful, romantic with candles and essential oils. So we went to my house, which I planned to have him there, and I had his things and, you know, the nest and blah, blah. And we got there was no water, and we were painting the house, so the house was like had the smell of paint. And Pedro said there's no water, and I was like, Pedro, just call the guy to fix the water. And he's like, Aline, you crazy, or you go to my house or you go to the hospital. And he's like, so I said, okay, let's go to the
wow. So you changed,
it was like a mission.
Location 3 times while
3 times.
In labor. Wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible all that we can endure as women.
Yeah. So then we go to his house. Finally, I can stay in one place without moving. I remember the best pose and best body position that helped me with the contractions. It were like a cat cow, like on my knees.
Yep.
No. And I remember super hot. So we went to one room and he was like with the hose and trying to fill up the bath, all this. But we just stayed in one room with nothing. And I think we're so high, and they even didn't think about offering me like a pillow for my knees. And I was the whole time on my knees, and my knees were like all like scratched. So it was only me, him, the doula. I didn't want her to be there. I just felt like I needed space. So only him, me, and Bettina, the doctor. And even him, I felt like I needed space. So it was mainly Bettina and me in the room.
Yeah.
And after like, I would say maybe 10 hours, the whole labor was about 20 hours.
Okay.
Okay. We got at the house about 7 a.m. and then Noah was born like 6:45.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had the whole day.
Towards the end of the whole, process, the whole journey, I said to Bettina, I feel I'm gonna, because I have low blood pressure and I felt I was gonna faint. I felt, and when I told her, she's like, okay, you're getting there. It's like you're getting another state. And I really felt my body was breaking, you know? And you know how it is, Bibi. We go through so much pain, you know, through the yoga practice, especially Ashtanga yoga, you know, go through so much, you know, sensation, discomfort. And I always felt I'm gonna just like, you know, like sneeze and it's gonna come out. You know. And you know, I have
that'd be nice. That'd be very nice.
I have a good endurance for pain, and listen, I felt it was strong. For me, it was strong. So I felt I was gonna break in half, and she's like, "Okay, now you get it. It's where that you get into that state. You know, we go into this altered state. You know, we're another plane." But I couldn't pee. And she's like, you need to pee because your bladder is holding him. You know,
stop the baby.
Full. You need to pee. But I couldn't pee because of the contraction I was holding. And she's like, Aline, you need to pee. So I tried a few times. Finally, when I pee, he went down to the channel. And she just like lay down here. So I just lay down, put my knees here, you know, on the floor, like indigenous, like in India. And she was here with like a little cloth, and she put the like a mirror, and she's like, "Oh, he's so hairy, look!" And I was like, "Oh, Bettina, black hair, blonde, it just come out, done. I cannot." And she's like, "No, look, it's gonna give you strength to push." When I looked, I was like, "Okay, let's go." It was like 1, 2 push, and wow, and then came. And wow, it was amazing. I mean, there's no words to describe you. When he came out, I remember clearly seeing the way he looked. He already opened his eyes and looked to me. It's the same way he looks to me until today. So cute. And he went right to my breast, you know, and then we, you know, comfort gave him my breast, and then we wait until the cord,
umbilical cord stop pulsing.
But before that, she's like, now there's the placenta, which is another baby. And then and you know the how you call that? Do you know that little? It's called I forgot the name in English. It's that pump that you put in the vagina to work your perineum.
I don't know what the name of it is, but it stretches your perineum to prepare for the birth.
It's actually from Germany.
Like a balloon.
Yeah, I used that while I was pregnant, and I have to say that was such a great practice, because you really feel, they call the sitting on the fire when the baby comes out, that fire sensation. There you can feel the sensation and learn how to relax. So for me, when he came out, it was not painful. It was actually handleable. I couldn't handle. But that's for me, what was more painful were the contractions, which were like, wow. No, like.
And also because the ring of fire is such a short moment compared to the whole journey that you have before that.
So, and then the placenta moved, and then we wait the cord to stop pulsing, and then Pedro cut it. And then that was like, wow, you know, done, amazing, cannot believe this. And you really feel like an animal. You really get in touch with your most primitive power, you know, I don't know, I just felt like so connected, so strong, and so vital, and you get super high, you know, after one day non-sleep, one day, like, you're just like, wow.
Like, wow.
Yeah, and then after everyone was like eating ice cream, super happy, and yeah, and it's just that it's unbelievable how this little human can come out of us. You know, it's like it's the most magical thing in life.
Did you feel, was it
So
strange for
that's
you
how
to
I
see
was.
it? Was it strange for you to see him the first time? Like, did he match the idea that you had of him, or you didn't have an idea of him?
I had no idea.
Okay.
To be honest, he was very dark hair. Now he's kind of like brunette. He was very dark. I was like, wow, he's super dark hair. I had no idea. I didn't visualize that.
Okay. Yeah, I remember whenever mine came out, it took me a moment to be like, wow, this is a human that's come out of me. And it took me a second to be like, it's my son. Like, I want to protect him, but how strange that he's mine, you know, like.
Yeah, but it is. It's like, it's unbelievable how we can generate and create a human hair, figure. It's like, that's why it's so unbelievable, amazing to be one of the reasons to be a mother, to generate life is like, I think it's one of the most miraculous things we can experience. You know, it's in how nature is so perfect, how we can, and then we see this personality after coming out, you know, as a personality. No, I felt that. It's like his hands and his lips.
Wow,
and I was very like a Leo mother, like just I just want to hold him and protect and like super protective, like barking, not barking, but just like so much love that and the funny thing, he was born and then he slept. It was like this little puppy, you know, like he wasn't too big. He was 50 centimeters and 3.5 kilos. So it was actually easier to come out.
Yeah.
And I remember we put him in this
like
we had
in the
no
wrap?
nest, no bed for him there because it was in his house. So we put him in this couch where it had this little like a pillow, like to hug him in. I remember putting him there, and then he was so peaceful, and we were like, okay, let's eat. No, I was like starving. And just hold on, Bibi. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
And then I had no idea you should avoid lactose, dairy, after you're having a baby and to breastfeed. Okay, and to go back a little, I was not that mother who was reading 1,000 books. Okay, maybe I read 1 or 2, and then I don't even remember the names. But I was more just like letting go. I was not like researching, reading the manuals.
But I think that's actually nice, because then you are really you're able to really go inwards and connect to yourself and your intuition.
Yeah. And you know how is motherhood, you know, everyone's like, do this, do that. No, you should do this way. That's the way. And I was like, stop, let's find out my way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's find out my way.
That's a really good tip for women to hear, because I feel like there's so much out there that it's hard to really quiet everything and just hear yourself.
Yeah,
very
because
hard.
We're all different. And when we go through this process of generating this life, we're changing. We're not the same woman as before. And when you give birth, you're changing big time.
Right.
And when you're discovering that you have a life that depends on you, you know, and for me, this was a challenge, because I always have been super independent. I left Brazil young. I always like go, travel, like free. And then I have a life depending on me, you know. It was like internally, a mix of like bigger, super joy and super happiness. And like, oh my God, am I losing my freedom? You know, am I like, oh my God, you know, but then you discover another freedom, another type of freedom. And this love between mother and son is the most abundant love that you can ever experience. That will lead you to freedom as well.
That's so beautifully
Another
said.
kind of
That's
freedom.
so true.
So in the beginning, I felt that, oh my God, now I cannot, you know, I cannot go there because, and because, not because of him, but because of my love is so big for him that does not allow me to go. So it's actually my love towards him.
It's not really him. It's really the heart.
Yeah, it's like cannot even be 1 hour away from him because I love him so much. But I want my freedom, but I love him so much. So it's the love that sometimes can be like overwhelming, but then after you find the balance of how much to love and to understand yourself there and understand that everything is okay, that you did not lose anything. You know, you're not the same person anymore. So that was one thing that I felt internally like, oh, you know.
I love this idea that you feel like you lose your freedom, but then you find another kind of freedom. I love that, because it's such a really nice way to describe that. It's not you're losing something, but you're losing it in order to feel like, to enable the space to feel something even greater. And I feel like that's so true of motherhood in general.
Even greater. And I look myself now, Bibi, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot even see myself not having a child or not see myself having a baby. It's like how I lived even before, not feeling this love. how I was happy not experiencing this love. So I'm much more happier now, even though I have less freedom that I had before.
Right.
Freedom, but I'm much happier. It's like I look back, I feel like I have many lives, because when you look back, it was another life.
It's like, true. It is like that.
We have many lives in life. I'm like, wow, how I even ever lived without experiencing this love. No, it's surreal. I feel it's like the best thing in life to have a child and to experience this love towards this human.
How was your level of tiredness throughout, you know?
Bibi, so that's one thing. I remember like more experienced women saying, rest, read a book, put your legs up, just enjoy, write a journal. I didn't do that at all. Okay. And I regret it a little, because I was like, go. Maybe because I was so high of, you know, so much energy, and his energy, because you have a soul, you have two souls, my soul and his soul, interconnected, and this jet of energy. So I didn't rest. But when I had Noah, I felt exhausted. In the first month, you know, you like waking up every hour to breastfeed. I had no help. I was doing everything alone. Not even Pedro helped me. I was doing everything alone.
How did you do that? That's so much.
And I was wiped out, and then when about 45 days, then we found a person which she helps in the house, so she could watch him for 2 hours, so could sleep 2 hours straight, you know, or 1 hour, so I could sleep 1 hour. I always breastfeed myself, not with the pump. I just didn't like the pump thing. So I was always with Noah, but I was super, 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 super tired. The only thing I wanted to do after having Noah was to sleep. Even though it was half hour, an hour is like gold.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah. Oh my God. Totally.
Every birthday, I'm like,
Oh,
what do I want this birthday? I just want to sleep.
yeah, yeah. It's the most luxury is to have sleep. And then I breastfed him until a year and 2 months, more or less. And then I was about I felt I needed to. He was still waking up every 3 hours,
Oh,
even
wow.
after a year. Yes.
Wow. To
I
breastfeed.
know. Yeah, I know because he's a boy, super hungry, but he
How did
was
you
still waking.
survive?
So yeah, so after 1 year, I said 1 year and a half,
Wow.
I said no, I need to sleep 5 hours straight, or 6 hours straight. I need to sleep. So then slowly I don't know how to say
Weaned.
this in English, but I started
Weaned him, yeah.
giving him coconut water
Oh,
because
nice.
it's very easy to find natural coconut water in Brazil,
Right.
super healthy, a lot of minerals, no electrolytes. So that's how I still gave him milk during the day, but during the night, a little water. So I remember sleeping my first night straight of like 7 hours or 8 hours after 1 year in 2 months.
Wow.
And that day I was like, wow, I'm a new person. Now I'm myself again. It's so crazy.
Yeah, we
Sleep.
actually had luck. We trained our Indy to sleep through the night at 6 months, at 5 months. And so he started sleeping like 11 hours, 10 hours a night from 5 months on. And then when we went to Italy this summer, we lost our sleeping baby. He stopped sleeping. And so now I'm like, oh my God.
You're back. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's so hard.
It's the hardest
so
part.
hard.
It's the hardest
so
part.
hard.
The lack of sleep is the hardest
Yeah.
part.
Because it changes
survival.
everything in your mind and the way you perceive things.
Yeah.
If you have a
Your
partner, the way you
patience.
interact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hard.
How you become more reactive,
Yeah.
less tolerant. Yeah. Sleep is vital. We
Yeah.
need. So yeah, but going back a little, I remember just want to tell a funny story. So we're like eating pizza and Noah just born, like few hours, put him in the little couch and like super happy. Okay, let's order pizza. And I had no idea that pizza and lactose could give you gas, like stomach, like make him
For
bloated.
the baby. Yeah.
And colics, right?
Yeah, college.
So that night was like rock and roll. Noah just left, was like every 10 minutes waking up, every half hour waking up. So I would rest and Pedro like hold him and then I'll rest and then like alternating. And I was like, oh my God. So our first night with him was like,
welcome to motherhood.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And we were like putting diapers like the wrong way. So yeah. So then we called, next day we saw a doctor. Okay, let's see, we do a little massage, then started to figure out, did a little Shantala, then okay, let's learn this.
Wow.
Yeah, so going back to your question, I visualized, I wanted to have him at home.
Yeah.
I didn't tell many people. My parents knew, but I was not telling them quite often. So because they're not very in favor, but after they're like, okay, that's so amazing. But I was very private because here is not very common.
Which I feel like is probably really good because then it's like whenever they say you shouldn't talk so much about your practice because you're keeping that energy inside instead of letting it escape out of you. So that's probably good that you did that.
Yeah. But I was so grateful and super happy that actually it happened, you know. I was like, wow, I dreamed about this, you know. And he came out with health. I was super healthy. After having him, I was like showering, you know, like walking fine. Yeah, I was like just super happy, like super content. And
how was it
to
for
feel
you
that's the
to
word.
take, you know, like I know that there's that initial time where everything is magic and you're like in this bubble with the baby, and then when you begin to integrate back into the role that you had in society, but you're this new person, how was that for you to go back into, you know, your old shoes but as a new self?
Yeah, you know, the first month I just want to stay home and I didn't want to see many people, to be honest, like just few guests. I just want to stay like in that nest, in that bubble of love, but I needed that time private. Okay, I was not like, whoa, going, I don't know, to the flea market with him. I was not. I just want to stay in the nest. Maybe because I was exhausted and I did not rest enough during the pregnancy, but I just stayed in. The second month as well. I think the first 2 months I was super
Very internal.
yeah, very internal. My family came to visit us. So my mom and my dad met Noah when Noah's about. Just hold on because I think it's Noah. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry.
Oi, Polly. Pode. Tá bom. Ok, beijo. Tchau, tchau. Sorry.
Everything okay? That's okay. That's
Yeah.
part of being a
No, I
mother.
have a help.
Okay.
I have a nanny. He's with him, her, and he likes to have dinner with the neighbor. He has a friend, so they're going to have dinner. He's 2.5.
Cute.
Very dependent. Yeah. So Bibi, I felt I needed that time. I needed that time to rest and to find out my version as a mother, my new version of human. Not as a mother, but a human, because you're not the same human. You're not the same.
Yeah.
So I did take my time. I was 100% with him. I was not seeing many people. I didn't want to go nowhere. I remember this. Pedro was like, he has a farm in the inside of São Paulo in the countryside, and he's like, let's go to the farm. I'm like, no, I just want to stay in one place. Oh, let's go to the farm. So finally went to the farm. Noah was 4 days old, and we just stay there. And I just want to stay in one place and just stay. And then I remember I did my first Surya Namaskar after 2 months. So I waited 2 months, and I wanted to move my body. During these first 2 months, I was meditating when I could, 5 minutes, maybe 10. You know, I was trying to sit, to have my time, even though it's short. But I cultivated. I nourished my time through meditation. Okay.
Yeah.
But when Noah was about 2 months old, I felt, okay, I need to move my body, and I felt the desire to get back on the mat. And I remember the first time, wow, my legs were like gelatin, you know, like super jelly. It's so crazy. You're so flexible. Yeah, so it took it very slowly, no pressure, just did what I felt like, started a few Surya Namaskars. I had no calendar to finish, you know, primary series. It took me a long time actually, because I wanted to be pleasure and a time that I was comfortable and enjoying, you know. And it has been that way until now. I feel like the motherhood, and because even though it's 2.5 years now, you always thinking and feeling and worrying, and you always your attention most of the time is somewhere else.
Yeah.
On him, because I care so much about him, even though he has now I have a help, but we always, as we become a mother, we're there, you know. And there is a schedule, you know, eating, sleeping. I try to keep a routine. So for me, my time on the yoga mat, it's a time that I want to enjoy. I don't want to be like, you know, I have to finish, I have to do this posture, I have to do an hour and a half, or I have to finish intermediate. No, it's about enjoying and being content, and a time to nourish myself and to give myself love.
Yeah.
So I took it very slowly and very gently, this going back to my practice. In the beginning, of course, I could not do the whole series because I'm not sure if most of you know, there is a sequence and there's a series of asanas. So the first series about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. So it took me a while to build up this an hour practice for an hour, 30 minutes.
Also because mentally it's a lot.
Mentally, it is. Like, if you know, now I practice when he's at school, in his little school. Now, for the first time, I'm having more concentration and I'm more integrated, because he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. But when he was around,
that's impossible. I can go like half an hour. That's the max that my mind can just kind of like be here now.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay. There's a beauty in that.
Yeah. And
we have to accept and find and enjoy that it's different, and that's okay. And actually, I really enjoyed practice. And he comes, mommy, it's unique, you know. Now he doesn't do that anymore. Now he allows me to practice. Before he was no yoga, because it would take me away from him. He's like, no, mommy, don't do yoga. Yeah, I only could practice yoga when he was sleeping, or when he would go to little square, go for a little walk, you know, when he was present.
No, mommy.
No, mommy, you're mine. Why yoga? You have me.
I'm your yoga. What are you talking about?
I'm yoga. Yes, you are. So now I'm experiencing the first time I can be, and then realize how much attention this practice demands, you know, and how much it changes, it shifts when you have a child. It's not your main priority. My main priority is Noah, and then the other things, and that's okay, you know. So to be honest, I feel like now my yoga practice is in such a more balanced, in a healthy way than before. I feel before it was like too much, you know, too much intensity and too much me and too much my practice. And now I feel it's real, because it's mature. It's not 100% because there's another human being, but that's how in life it is. It's not one thing. It's all these beautiful loves that gravitate, and we must love it all, but not love one thing. So I feel like my yoga practice is much more integrated and more balanced in real life than before. So
and it's also, I think that's what you were saying a little bit before in the conversation of like, you find this new freedom within the limitations. It's like it opens up this great compassion and acceptance that this is what it is now. And also I feel like, you know, it creates this new relationship to yourself, to your practice, and to understanding also what practice is at the end of the day.
Totally.
Totally. So it's nice to hear that.
So many lessons, many lessons, many new versions. Yeah. And also, one of the amazing things of having a child is I feel like the child has so much light, and he shows also your dark spots and the dark spots of in the relationship and yourself. So And even like in the relationship with a child, sometimes I react in a certain way. I'm like, oh my God, this is me. Yeah, that's me, that I need to work on it. So it's so beautiful that this human being can shine so much light in showing new ways, showing new versions, and we can look and say, okay, that can be done in a different way. You know, maybe it's not what I thought was right. Maybe it's not the way I think it's right, but let's try and let's see how it goes. So
I love
we
that,
become
of it
more,
shining the light into,
yeah. It's crazy. And now even today I'm like, oh, okay. And I see myself, I'm like, okay, I don't like myself so much this way. So let's change this. Thanks, Noah. Our little gurus.
Right? I know. It's so wild.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing.
what do you think? I mean, you've given so many wonderful little tips already throughout the conversation, but what would you leave whoever is watching this? What would you want them to walk away remembering in their heart from your experience?
Yeah, I feel like it's like how I started the conversation in the beginning. When we are generating this life, there's so much judgment and people saying, especially families. Brazilian families are very together, and they Italians as well. They know the way, you know. So everyone's saying, my mom, you know, friends, and I was like, fine, I bring it in, let me feel, let me find my way. I think the most important things is to grasp what's around, understand, get in, but find your way, find your voice, find your version. And it's okay to be different than the other. It's okay to, there is no manual, you know, each pregnant, I only have one child, but I can see that, seeing my friends, that each pregnancy is different, each child is different, each experience is different, you're in a different moment of your life. So find your way. And when we go through this process of creation, we really get in touch with our creativity. So it's a burst of like creativity. So find your way to create this new life and this new version of yourself as well, you know. So it's a major opportunity for a woman to listen and find your way. So if I could pick one thing, that would be the most important one, because we're all different and there is no right, no wrong. What's right for me now maybe be wrong. I'll feel that's not right later, you know, but at that time felt right. And maybe if I have another child, then maybe I may do a little different. But find what's right for you, you know, and be confident with that.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah.
So important.
But one thing I have to say, Bibi, and I find challenging, and maybe you do experience that as well, and it's a constantly work. It's I'm a very demanding person with myself. Okay, I always try to give my best and to be 100%, and to be a wonderful mom, and to be a good, you know, always trying to improve, and I feel like a lot of us who come from the Ashtanga lineage are like we're always trying to improve and to better. So when you become a mother, it's such a challenge and a constantly work to don't demand so much from yourselves, you know, because you're always trying, am I being a good mother? Am I being enough? You know, can I do better? It's like, it's important to put the brake there, you know, to not be so demanding, because there's no perfection. and we're gonna do
I was
many
just gonna
things
say
wrong.
to not be perfect because there is no perfect.
There is no perfection.
Yeah.
And I tell myself sometimes when I'm trying to do something with Noah. The other day I was trying to brush his teeth, okay? And I couldn't. He was not opening his mouth, and he was like, ah. I'm like, no, I have. There's a little funny thing there. Let's clean it up. No way. He was like, not opening, and I was like, okay. The perfect scenario would be like to brush his teeth. It's okay to not brush his teeth too. Maybe one night. It's okay.
Right.
So okay, sleep without brushing your teeth. It's okay. It's okay. So it's a constantly work. I'm telling with myself, and I believe in other moms, to find that gentleness. It's okay. Don't demand so much. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't feel guilty when you become a mother. We feel guilty.
Yes. Oh my
You
God.
feel guilty because you're not seeing him waking up at 6 a.m. You feel guilty because you're not at the square all the time. You feel guilty because you're not, it's like
you didn't make the perfect food.
Yeah. Or you feel guilty because you didn't give birth the way you dreamed,
Right.
or you visualize. It's okay. So I find through this whole journey, it's a constantly work, and it's important to work to find that pace of gentleness, to not be so hard with ourselves, and to work with this guilt, to not feel so guilty, because there's no perfection. Yeah, it's about progress, about doing a little better, but it's okay sometimes to not brush the teeth. Okay.
I feel like all the posts on Instagram about motherhood should be like, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. All of the posts say that.
Totally, it's okay.
But I hear you, and I think I'm so glad you bring that up, because I feel like with all the different phases that the babies go through, you can get so stuck in thinking like, oh, if I don't do this right now, it's gonna be the end. Like I'm never gonna have the opportunity. And no, they, like 2 weeks pass, and then there's this new phase, and they'll do something that they weren't able to do before, and you thought that they should do it then, but then they do it now. So it's like it's just always evolving, and it's always okay. Yeah. That's so true. I have to remember that.
Yeah, we all do. And it's a constantly, you have to keep watering the plant. It's a constant reminder. It's a constant reminder. It's let's put in the bathroom, bathroom view. It's okay. This constant practice of finding this gentleness, finding, because otherwise you go crazy, there's so much demands, the house,
and
yourself.
It's also not a good lesson for them to just be perfection. It's good for them to know that we're human and we make mistakes, and we can forgive ourselves, because they'll need to do that for themselves. If we can't do that, we can't expect them to learn how to do that.
To find that softness.
And I think, it's so part of the reason why I'm having these conversations with wonderful women like you is because it's been, for me, I know that there's moments where I'm really, doubting or really harsh on myself. I sit and I think like about all the women that have done this and that have survived, and that their babies are survived. And I feel like not alone, just imagining, even if it's not a specific person. And so I really feel like I hope these conversations really help whoever is listening to remember that we're never alone in this, and that none of us are perfect, and none of us, and all of us feel guilt, and all of us feel like it's not okay. So it's okay, and we are not alone.
We all go through moments of insecurity, of doubts, of feeling extremely emotion, and it's wonderful. It's sometimes a little scary, but that's part of the process.
Well, Aline, if somebody wants to find you, connect with you, see what you do, how can they best find you? And I will write it also in the comments below so they have it.
Yeah, so let me write it down.
No, I'll write it down later.
You write it down?
Yeah. I'll write it
Sorry.
down after the conversation, but if you can let them know here.
I think through Instagram is the most easier way, no?
Okay.
Aline Fernandes Yogini, Yogini.
Okay, so I'll write that later.
And feel free to bring it up, questions, suggestions, other topics. I feel is super rich, this exchange of information, ideas, frustrations, it's all beautiful. It's all beautiful. It's all worth it.
Yeah.
It's all worth it. Not only for ourselves, but also for this process of creating this life. There's no more magical thing than creating, generating a life. So it all passes, right? Really. No one's leaving.
It all passes.
Now I look Noah, he's 2.5. I'm like, where's my baby? That's why I think some women start having more babies, because they love the baby face and go so fast. 1 year after turns 1, boom.
I know.
2.
They're never gonna be like.
Yeah. And it's such a practice to understand how life is so impermanent, and how everything is so impermanent, and how things are always changing, and we're changing, they're changing, the world is changing. And to find joy, to accept, and to be in the moment, that's all what this yoga is about, to be more present and to understand the impermanence of life.
Yeah.
And a child really teaches that. It's fast.
That's a gift.
Especially these new human beings who are coming right now. They're fast. They learn things fast. They're bright,
They go to sleep and then the next morning they wake up and they're like a different person.
Yeah, totally. And they see a new world. And I feel this new generation, there is actually some studies about that. When I had Noah, just before I had Noah, I did a Vedic reading and also numerology. And I don't remember now, but there is a timing, and Noah is in this phase, also your son, that this generation is really fast and is really about bringing change, bringing
like manifesting,
new horizons, a new hoping, regenerating, our planet. So they're coming more enlightened. They're coming,
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because sometimes we watch Indy since he's little and we're like, he's like not anxious, but like he just wants to get done with this baby phase and go out. Like
very knowledgeable.
Like,
yeah. Totally.
I'm like, chill. It's okay.
Yeah. So they're coming to teach us. They're coming to show us. Not
We
only
need
us,
it. The world needs
parents,
it.
but
the world. Yeah.
So such a joy.
Aline, thank you so much for all that you shared with us today. This has been wonderful and so full of wonderful wisdom. I'm really happy everybody can hear this. Thank you everybody for listening. Please feel free to comment and reach out if you have any questions. Thank you, dear friends.
Thank you, Bibi.
Bye.